mainstream media. If you saw the headline by a neighboring network a couple weeks ago, when Donald Trump came out with his no taxes on tips policy, all of the headlines on mainstream media were derogatory. Kamala Harris comes out with her no taxes. Kamala Harris comes out with her policies on no taxes on tips, which is Donald Trump's policy, by the way. All of the headlines on mainstream media were positive and glorious and thoughtful.
I guess y'all are standing up for him.
Actually, mainstream media critiqued it when Trump proposed it and when Kamala Harris proposed it. Imagine that, a Republican lying. Wow. And by the way, the idea that Fox News was all positive about anything about Kamala Harris is absolutely ridiculous. And Fox News is the largest mainstream media outlet.
One of the things that we learned about her policy that she's going to roll out is support for a ban on price gouging. Now, I think reasonable people would ask, what does that mean? What does that really mean? And how is the government going to be involved in it? Here's Noah Rothman in the National Review. He describes this policy as a rank pander to the economically illiterate. And despite the presence of many who fit that description in Congress, they understand that allowing the executive branch to functionally set prices is a brain-dead idea that would only hurt consumers in the long run. I mean, is this just a ploy? Because it sounds kind of like it.
Well, look, if you like it, it's called good policy. If you don't like it, you call it pandering.
But is it really policy? I mean, price gouging?
Look, if she could do that, Lord have mercy. I mean, she might need to be the Pope as opposed to the president, but she's able at least to set the tone. Here's
CNN, is this one of your attempts to appeal to a right-wing audience? You don't want people to think that you're liberal media, right? We criticize Democrats too, see? I mean, first of all, you're the news. CNN, one of the largest news networks out there. Why aren't you telling us, why aren't you researching and looking into what she's talking about and then telling us what you think about it? Why are you reading National Review, whatever? Why are you quoting them? Oh, this is it's illiterate. Who cares what they say, man? Why are we watching CNN for you to tell us what some other news organization is saying? I mean, it's almost like a slick ploy for you to be able to disparage what Kamala Harris is trying to do without actually doing it yourself. But then after you read that, you kind of do, because you're like, it seems like a ploy, right? So instead of you being brutal, you read someone else saying brutal stuff. So you get that brutal message, you're challenging Kamala, right? But then you just put in the end a little, is it a ploy? Come on, man. First of all, one of the things that's been really annoying to me is how the media, and I'm talking about independent and corporate, right? Who else on YouTube will lump independent and corporate media together, right? Corporate media want to talk about independent media is a problem. Independent media want to talk about corporate media is a problem. I say American media is the problem, right? Because you have the Young Turks and CNN, I believe possibly MSNBC, have been walking around saying that Kamala doesn't have any policies. She doesn't have any policies. Now, with my negative bias against her, I did kind of get caught up in a bit of that, but my critique was that she's not putting the policies on her website, and I thought that was a stunt. I thought that was a tactic so that she could kind of, just weasel her way into office without being locked down. She doesn't want anything in writing to, people be like, look, on your website it said this, and then you did something else. But then I realized, hey, man, it was less than 2 weeks. She needs time to put it together. You don't want to just slap a whole policy agenda together just like that. And no one does that. Did Trump come up with a policy in less than 2 weeks? Did Biden do it? Did George Bush do it? Who does that? Who comes up with a whole policy agenda in less than 2 weeks, right? So I got caught up in that part. But because I actually care to know the truth and to understand what's going on, I didn't get caught up in the part that the Young Turks and other mainstream media did, which is the idea that she has no policies and she's running on nothing. She was traveling across the country with these packed rallies that all the media is talking about. All the rallies packed, everybody's packed, and all the energy. At those same goddamn rallies, she was talking about things like price gouging and healthcare, and not just throwing stuff out there like Trump would just say the economy is going to boom. She was talking in some mechanisms of like how she was going to do it, right? And yet Young Turks and CNN went on for a while. Multiple people saying, oh, we don't even know what she's running on. I think Breaking Points as well. We don't know what she's running on. What's she going to do? Have you watched the rallies?
Build a broad-based economy where every American has the opportunity to own a home, to start a business, and to build wealth. Fight for a future where we bring down prices that are still too high and lower the cost of living for America's families, so that they have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. And when our middle class is strong, America is strong. Strengthening the middle class will be my defining goal as I am President of the United States. While our economy is doing well by many measures, Prices for everyday things like groceries are still too high. You know it and I know it. When I was Attorney General, I went after price-fixing schemes. And when I am president, I will continue that work to bring down prices. I will take on big corporations that engage in illegal price gouging, corporate landlords that unfairly raise rents on working families, and take on big pharma and cap the cost of prescription drugs for all Americans.
This is what integrity looks like. I'm Jamaican. My skin is brown. And I don't like Kamala Harris. I think she's a horrible politician. I don't trust her. I think she's a flip-flopper. I think she's fake. But I can only be honest with my audience. I can only tell them the truth, right? Just because I don't like her doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and pretend, oh, she doesn't have any policies and this and that, right? And you know what else people are going to do? Spineless, dishonest people. Anytime that it's not just about her, anytime that anyone tries to propose a policy that will actually help the American people, something that will actually help regular Americans that are trying to survive, the right-wing media will fearmonger and somehow make it to be socialism, or it's not really going to help you, or it's actually something that's going to help the elites and something, right? There's no world in which anyone, from a Democratic Party, can propose something that's truly, aimed at helping regular Americans that will not be painted as, the exact opposite, right? If it's going to help to lower inflation, no, it's going to increase inflation, right? That's what they're going to do. That's what they always do. Know the game. I mean, you're news media, man. This is not my job. I don't make no money doing this. I'm trying to wake people up, trying to get people to unplug, right? That's my purpose here. I don't make no money doing this, and I have a lot of stuff to do. Listen, you know what I should be doing right now? I have a project, a 2-year project I've been working on, trying to eradicate Japanese knotweed from my yard. Go ahead and Google it. One of the most invasive species in the world. It can take years to get rid of it. And if you want to do some hard work, try and pull some of these roots are 12 feet long, 1-inch diameter roots. You go try digging that up and pull it out. That's what I need to be doing right now, but I'm here making this video, right? So I'm not here to make money or nothing like that. So I'm going to tell you like it is. And the reality is, if I could find the time to watch, and I haven't even watched the full rally, to watch enough of her rallies to know the points that she's bringing up and what she wants to do, then how is it people are getting paid a lot of money? This is your job. And you don't know what she's running on yet? After she's been saying it over and over again across the country, what is going on? And then you sitting there talking about reading the review thing and what does she really mean? And even though, she's about to release more details, but she's released more details than that lady on CNN has given us. I mean, come on, man. At least we know she's not doing the whole racial sisterhood, black sister. And I'm gonna, because she's a black woman, I'm gonna look out for her. We gotta stick together. Apparently she ain't doing that. That's for sure. But my man, by the way, the professor on that show, if you ever heard people talking about how black people can't be racist, which is an ignorant thing to say, this is one of the guys where that's coming from. He's the one that, as a professor, embarrassing that he's a professor, walked around and conflating racist with systematic racism, right? Whenever we talk about whether black people can be racist, he basically gives you the definition of systematic racism, which is a different word, and then tries to say this is why black people can't be racist, because black people can't be systematically racist, right? This is really what he's saying, but they could be racist, because race is that's just an ideology, man, right? But he's the one, he's like the poet type guy. He like to rhyme. Like, you see how he's talking, he's moving his head, this and that, and the sisters are black, and that's him, right? And I noticed also when he's talking to Nancy Mace, he never makes eye contact with her. Like, the whole time he's talking and listening, he's looking down at the table. I think like he's just thinking, I don't know, that could just be his thing, how he operates, right? But I just thought it was very strange. Like, he's sitting there just thinking about, okay, I'm gonna say this and that. No, she didn't. Oh, no, she didn't. Listen, black people has been president in time in 45 years, 40, and then the wide oppression, this and that. And what you saying is, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness. Anyway, let's address the matter at hand. I don't have a lot of faith in Kamala Harris. I'm not a fan of her. I think she's a flip-flopper. I think she's a fake. I think she's definitely skilled for sure, but politics is not particularly one of her skills. She's skilled in some other areas. I know she's had some accomplishments that she's done going after big corporations. So she has the experience that could definitely help her in this endeavor. But how can she go after price gouging? Of course, the right wing, they're going to try to distort this and try to pretend like it's something that it's not. Like, they're trying to say she's going to do price fixing, and that's not what it's about, right? First of all, there's a lot of ways to do this, and this is things that I would do, right? First of all, you can simply do a public education endeavor, right? So what you do is you empower the consumers. You have your federal agencies do the research, get the data, get the information, and then you provide it to the consumers. Now, a lot of people are not aware. When they think about inflation, they think about, oh, it's because of pandemic spending and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of those ideas are coming from opportunists in the media, propagandists spinning all kinds of different rhetoric. So I think there's a lot of ignorance in terms of how much price gouging has affected the inflation. So the very people, conservatives talking about, how gas is so high and groceries are so expensive and the Biden economy doesn't work. I think an overwhelming majority of them have no idea that how much of that is coming from greedy corporations, right? Because the media they consume is pro-corporate, right? Right-wing media is generally pro-corporate. So now, not that the Democratic media or left-wing media doesn't have that. Well, I won't say left-wing, more liberal media, but not as much as right-wing media. So they're never going to inform their audience about what these corporations are doing. So Kamala Harris could have a project where they get the data together. She could do a primetime address, and she ain't got to call names either. She could simply just say, listen, we investigated, and this is what we found. Certain percentage give the number, certain percentage of Fortune 500 companies are experiencing record-breaking profits, and we found that the source of those profits are due to the increased prices during the pandemic because of real issues that they had regarding supply chain, whatever. But after those issues were resolved, they still kept the prices up, and now they have record profits. And also, they had record profits during the pandemic, so they increased the prices way more than they needed to, such that in tough time with supply chain issues, they were very profitable, and now they continue to be extremely profitable, and basically they are taking advantage of the suffering of the American people. So explain how it works, explain how to detect it, and then let the market do its thing. People want to talk about free market, let the free market do its thing. But the way you gotta have people informed, right? So when people realize this, then they themselves can go after these companies. The consumers can empowered with this information, figure out who's doing what, and then choose to shop with, companies that aren't doing that, right? Another thing she can do, she can incentivize companies that haven't done that, companies that drop their prices back after, things resolved. She can promote those companies and say, we looked at a bunch of companies and we want to highlight and commend these corporations for being the ones that we think, respected our consumers the most, whatever it is, compliment them, right? If she want to be really aggressive, she can call out the worst actors. She can call out the top 5 companies that have really, really taken advantage of the American consumers and are contributing to people, salaries went up, but then inflation ate it up. And these are the companies that are doing it. So she can do stuff like that. If the Democrats win strongly enough and they have the House and the Senate, they can also introduce new legislation. So one of the things with price gouging, from my understanding, the laws are regarding increasing your prices during an emergency. So since we are, I believe, post-emergency, then, I think the existing laws, I'm not a lawyer, might not apply. But she can add an amendment or some new law that addresses this exact same scenario. So you can't price gouge during an emergency. And if you increase your prices to make up for issues during an emergency and you keep them up and you are at the same time, making record profits. Obviously you got to figure out what the parameters are of how this law is going to work. You got to work out those details, but basically set up something where you can identify bad actors and punish those bad actors, right? Introduce new consumer protection regulations, which prohibits this activity. And you can take another approach as well. Like I said before, you don't have to be negative. You can take a positive approach. So you can create incentives for companies that don't do this, right? So companies want to price gouge. You're going to go do your record profits. You could do that, right? But who's going to get these special tax benefits or whatever it is that we're going to do for them? The companies that aren't greedy, right? You increase your prices only as much as you need to, and once everything's resolved, you go back to business as usual, right? You do that, the government has your back, right? A lot of different ways. But here's the thing: why would the CNN lady, rather than wait until Kamala Harris comes out with her plan and what she's planning to do and then critique it, why would she prematurely be like, oh, is this a ploy? And then reading that negative article, like, what you really trying to do, CNN? You really try, listen, no matter what y'all do, right-wing media is always going to call you liberal media and this and the Democrats and their bias or whatever. So why even bother? Like, what y'all really trying to do? I don't get it, man. You're not going to get credit for it. So just stop. Be a journalist. Right? Tell us investigate what she's doing. Tell us what you think about not what somebody else think about what she's doing. Right? And if she hasn't put the full details out, hold back and getting too aggressive about it. Wait for her to get the full details. And if it's garbage, call it out. Right? I'm not saying be easy on her. Nah, man. If she come up with some garbage, then call it out. But don't preemptively call it out. You don't even know what she's talking about. Come on, man. And y'all didn't even know what she's been talking about at the rallies, man. Come on, really? Anyway. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Holy shit.